Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Kicking Tires podcast. We have a bit of big shoes to follow up. We do want to thank you guys. It was about a month ago we celebrated 2,000 total downloads. We can now celebrate 5,000 total downloads on one episode for about 7,000 total. So huge thank you to Trevor Thompson yet again for coming on, making our careers. But yeah, so 5,000, over 5,000 downloads on the last episode alone. We do want to thank you guys. If you guys want to make sure you don't miss out on any episodes going forward, check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's easier to keep track of those there just because a lot of the downloads now are attached to my writing. So if you guys are coming through Inside the Rink, if my pieces don't do as well, you might miss the episode. So if it's something you're interested in, go check us out there. If not, we thank you no matter how you listen. But we're back for another week. We're a little bit delayed, but whatever. You guys enjoy the last one. You guys continue to enjoy the last one. We had single days that were more successful than any other episode did. We actually had over 1,000 downloads on 2 different days. We were talking about this before we went live.
Yeah,
it was
insane. Like our best episode to date. Like I'm looking at it every single day. I took a couple of days off from checking like all the downloads because I usually don't check them. I check them over the weekend. I see 5,000 downloads. I'm like, what is going on? It was my eyes lit up. It was so thank you for everybody
yeah,
listening.
it's
As
going
Alex
up
said,
the
like we're
board.
on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Like check us out. Thank you, Trevor Thompson, as well. Like he brought us high, and we hope we can continue.
Yeah, and you guys got to listen to that one ad free. We didn't make a dime off that, but you know what? Say la vie. We thank you guys anyway. We seriously do thank you guys. Anyways, let's get down to brass tacks here. All right. Yes, I did cut my hair. No, but for real. We got 4 games to talk about. A bigger week for us. We have a Fedorov jersey retirement to kind of touch on. We have 3 wins and 1 loss. Three nice wins. One of them was a little bit iffy. The Carolina game kind of got out of hand a little bit, but all kinds of things going on. A lot to talk about. Marco Kasper, some trade rumors, because look, I'm not stupid. I saw the views on the writing. I know what you guys are in the mood for. We'll chat to you guys about some trade rumors. I'll tell you what I've heard, what I haven't heard, if there's any other names circulating, and talking about Kiefer Sherwood getting moved and Rasmus Anderson as well. All of that before we get into our week MVP and best moments. And our predictions for next week. Next week, tomorrow, the Red Wings take on the Maple Leafs. After that, it's the Minnesota Wild. And they have a game against the Winnipeg Jets. So plenty to talk about, plenty to get to. And we thank you guys for sticking with us the whole way. So in just 1 second, we'll be back with segment 1. All right, segment 1, Kicking Tires podcast. We got a Carolina game to talk about. Carolina has been like the bane of the Red Wings' existence for years now. They just play a style that Detroit does not match up well against. And it seems like Sergei Fedorov's jersey retirement was kind of the catalyst for a good start here. The Red Wings jump out to a 3-0 lead. JVR just continues to be such a story. He just cannot stop scoring in front of the net. Great game from him. You saw Albert Johansson get in on the action too. Like, there's a lot to like about this game, a lot of good moments. I think Detroit was holding pace with Carolina, if not outplaying them for a lot of the first 2 periods, which is something that you really want to see. Like, Carolina is a contender. They are one of the best teams in the NHL in hockey. So for a team like Detroit, who, like, yes, they're top of the division, but we've said it all year, it's a little bit of a fraudulent top of the division. Like, we know that they really, in terms of caliber and play, they're probably not the best team. Like, at certain times, their offense has buoyed them, or John Gibson has just stolen weeks. This game was one where they looked like they belonged against a really good team, except for the third period, where just everything went downhill. It starts off with a power play goal and then a shorthanded goal because Dylan Larkin can't retain the puck, and then another power play goal and a 5-on-3. Like, just everything that could have went wrong for Detroit. And there was, like, you had the sense that like this game was a loss. Like, even if it went to overtime, like, the momentum was gone. It was going to be probably the worst way to lose a game on a jersey retirement night. But in overtime, Andrew Kopp cross-checks the hell out of Shane Gostisbehere. It was a cross-check. I will not sit here and say like it wasn't. He cross-checks the hell out of Shane Gostisbehere. It goes undetected. Alex DeBrincat, by the way, who we're going to talk about later, silky hands off the reception, dances a defenseman, sees Kopp out in front, who knocks it in. 4-3. Red Wings win. They cheat death a little bit because, boy, was that a collapse. we got a lot to talk about in that one. So, Shola, what are some positives before we get into the negatives about that game?
You know what? If I were to give most positives out, one, I'll give John Gibson a positive because the Red Wings got outshot by 16. They only had 18 shots on goal to Carolina's 34. John Gibson saved 31 of those, and the three that he didn't save, two came from a power play and one came shorthanded. So I don't know what else you really need from him. Like you can't really put the three goals that he let in on him. Obviously you should because he's a goalie, you should save him. But like there is some grace that you can give him. Another positive, we can give it to JVR. Like he's at his age, like talking, if you talk to me in the beginning of the season, you talk to me who do I think would show up in the goal scoring category, JVR would not be one of them. Like I don't think he would be as prolific as he has been. Even this week, like I think he chipped in with 2 goals, 3 goals maybe. Like he's been on fire this entire season. And like for his age, like his output that he brings out is just on like is you love to see it out of him. Another person who I'd give credit to, as Alex mentioned before, Alex DeBrincat, on fire, a goal and 2 assists. Like, what more do you need from him? That play he made in overtime to find Andrew Kopp, who we will talk about. Actually, I'll talk about him now. Uh, I don't really know hockey as much as most people do. When I looked at that, that was the most blatant penalty I've ever seen. Like both hands up to there, just push the hell out of the defender to the ground. Cross check of hell. They didn't see it. Like I don't know how they didn't see it. But it ends up working in the Red Wings' favor. Maybe they just did it as a favor for Fedorov's retirement night. It was like they have to get a win on this night, so they just gave us the win off of that. But I don't know. It was clearly a cross check. There's nothing else I can really say about that. Everybody else did play decently well. Like I guess you can put some moments on Dylan Larkin, like in on the power play where you can't defend or you lose the puck or stuff like that. Like, but everybody else, like honestly, you can't really put too much of the blame on what's it called on the team. Like they actually did outplay the Canes in the first 2 periods. They just let a couple slips go, but thankfully they came away with the win. So it's good to see.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that they stopped the experiment later in the week, but that like the line juggling that they were doing, that Larkin Kasper Finney line was like dismal. It was dismal in this game more than anything. Like Emmett Finney had a 10% Corsi 4 percentage, which is just about as bad as it gets. Him, Larkin, and Casper, there's just like no mesh there. Like there's no clear playmaker. They're all like kind of finishers. They're all like kind of there's no variety there. That was a bad line. That had been a bad line for a while. I'm glad they mixed it up. It looks like Larkin kind of got the monkey off his back a little bit later on in the week, but by God, was that line. That line was really, really hard to watch at times, especially in that game. And it was kind of just symbolized by Larkin, like messing up on the power play, and it kind of goes down. Larkin had a rough couple weeks. He's bounced back recently, but man, it was a rough game. I do want to give some credit to the Canes. Like, I do think Seth Jarvis played a really good game for them. Like, I continue to really like his game. Great media personality, but truly a great player. Certainly better than Tim Stutzel from that 2020 draft. A guy that we'll touch on a little bit later in this episode. Overall, it's one of those things where, like, we've said before, we're not going to come on and complain about a win, but like, they're really trying to make us complain about a win because that was like all the things that this team like shouldn't be doing. Like, you really want Gibson to come up big. I get it. They were like compromisable positions, like, but you're kind of like praying at that point just because everything else went wrong. You're kind of hoping Gibson has some magic in him. Your top line was not great. You weren't really getting like offensive pressure for like the back half of that game. A lot of things went wrong, but this team continues to find a way to win, and that's what good teams do. So, you kind of put it behind you. You're happy for the win. They got back to the top of the Eastern Conference. Sorry, top of the Atlantic as well. Top of the Eastern Conference briefly there before they went into Boston, and things kind of went a little bit more south. I won't get on this team for losing the second night of a back-to-back. Look, like this is like the most competitive that the league has been in like decades. Like everybody's so close together. Every game means like a million things. Any team can win on any given night. Like I don't look at the schedule anymore and be like, oh, it's team X, Y, and Z. Like it's a guaranteed win. It's a scheduled win. Like that's not the case. Maybe Vancouver now. Vancouver's kind of selling everybody. But largely, like, there's no bad teams. So again, when you're tired and another team is rested, like I think you're very much at a disadvantage. That's kind of what you saw in Boston. I do want to give a lot of credit to Cam Talbot, who just played an absolute thriller of a game. Like, it's not every day you get a 95 save percentage, like 950, and you lose the game. He gave Detroit a chance the whole way through. It was just the offense couldn't get going, and it looked like they were skating quicksand the whole night. Like, it was a rough watch. It's one of those ones where, like, the fans get upset about it just because, like, Boston's on paper beatable, their Atlantic Division opponent. It's a game that you really want Detroit to win, but you can understand why they lost it. And Jeremy Swayman did play a very good game for Boston in that, like, things, it wasn't just that Detroit was tired, like Boston was the better team that night, and that's not something you want to see. But it's an understandable loss, and the big takeaway for me was, like, how would they bounce back? So, Shola, I don't know if you saw something similar there or what you were looking at during this game here.
Honestly, like I think the team was just deflated, low key. Like if I were to just categorize it as anything, like they played a hard fought battle against Carolina. They showed why they're a good team in that game. They get to the second night of a back to back. John Gibson obviously was not playing. Top was in that. Great game out of him. I was surprised when I looked at the stats after the game, seeing he was a 9.5 save percentage. Like there's nothing you can't really categorize that loss on him. It's just I feel like there's some times where you go into a game and you look at the team and how they're playing in the first couple minutes of the game and you categorize it as a loss because the team just looks deflated. They can't create as many chances as they usually do in higher stake games. And you look at it as like you chalk it up to it's like, okay, it's gonna happen a couple times during the year. Like there's gonna be times where we're going to get in a hot streak. We're going to win a couple of games here and there, but then you're going to get to a game where you expect to win, but then get blown out. And that's what happened today. There's nothing really I can put who I can categorize as who lost us this game or what happened in this game, but like they bounced back at the end of the week, and that's really all you can ask for. If they went on like another 2 game, 3 game skid, I feel like we would chalk it up to okay, maybe something happened in this game and the coaching staff and what happened, but it's the only game they lost throughout the week, and I think this shit just because it was on the second night of the back to back, they played a hell of a lot of games. So
Yeah.
I think it's just that's what happened this game, and chalk it up, move on to the next one.
And I know it's like, it's not good, like, journalism for us to just be like, yeah, like, they lost, we're going to put it behind them. But, like, at a certain point, like, who do you think this team is? Like, for the people that were, like, really mad about the Boston game, like, do you expect 82 wins a season? Like, is that kind of what you're looking for? Like, that's not this team. I get it. Colorado's just like the Grim Reaper this season. Like, you're not beating that team ever. That's their cup to lose. Whatever. Other than like Colorado with a clear gap, Detroit's like been like 2-3 points out of first in the league for like most of the year. Like, at a certain point, like, yes, they're going to lose games. They lost one game this week, and it was the game where they were on the second night of a back to back. Like, again, it's hard for us to just sit here and be like, yeah, like the losses are fine. Because obviously we don't want to see Detroit lose ever. We would love 82-0. Like, for the people that are pushing for that, I hear you. I would love an 82-0 season and a 16-0 playoffs. Believe me, I would. That's not who this team is. This team is going to lose games. And you lost like a pretty, like, again, it was a 2-0 game before the empty netter. You can live with that, especially if they bounce back. They did. The San Jose game was one that looked really good. Like, you had possibly one of the best goals of the season. This was one hell of a week for pretty goals. We'll talk about especially in Ottawa. But it was the Lucas Raymond, just like the head fake to get it across to Alex DeBrincat. And I don't know if it was Nedeljkovic or I believe it was Ned in net. Nedeljkovic in net. The head fake that gets it cross ice to DeBrincat, and Nedeljkovic like can't even react in time. So DeBrincat just has to pot it into an empty net. DeBrincat continues to be fantastic this season. His 25th goal of the year. Just one of the best players on this team. You could seriously make an argument for being the best. Just so consistent. Always there with a goal. He gets the party started early on the power play before Will Smith scores on like one of the stupidest goals I've seen in a while. It hops over the glove of John Gibson, and it like looks like it would die, but Will Smith happens to win the race to the net and like knock it past John Gibson, who lost the puck. It's an eye roller because you don't love to see that go in, but you also understand that again, like it wasn't even going to go in unless Will Smith gets there first. You blame that more on the defense than anything. John Gibson technically stopped the puck. Largely, it's a bit of a dumb goal. You kind of roll your eyes, and again, you put in the past. Colin Graff's goal wasn't thrilling. That was a little bit worse. Like, it was a nice goal for all intents and purposes for Graff, who's been really good this season for San Jose. But when San Jose goes up 2-1, that's where you kind of feel the worry set in a little bit. Just because, again, like your old habits die hard, and this team is used to losing to San Jose in big games. You think about the last 2 seasons, they've choked huge points away to San Jose. So you kind of had like a nagging fear there. But Marco Kasper, one of the best plays of the season, grabs the puck in the neutral zone, absolutely dances John Klingberg, like dances into oblivion before making a perfect pass to JT Compher, who has a nice finish. Those two played a really good game together. JT Compher pots the puck. That's, I believe, his 6th of the season, 6 goals for JT Compher in the year. It was a really nice play, especially for Marco Kasper. And you saw the second that puck went in, it was like something lit back up in him. The next couple shifts, he was dogging the puck. He was keeping possession like the whole shift. He was fighting off 3 guys, especially behind the net. You could see him ragging the puck on his own. Marco Kasper got lit up right by this goal. And it was not too long before Todd McLeod was ready to put him on that top line. Before that, though, in the third period, it would be Dylan Larkin who gets on the board. A bit of an iffy goal. Lucas Raymond gets it across to him. He knocks it at the net. You can't tell if it goes in or not, but on the video review, you can see that the puck was in the net before Nedeljkovic kicked it out. So ultimately, it counts. Dylan Larkin gets his 5-on-5 goal, which is huge. He needed that for a while. And then the lines switch up. They take JVR off, put Marco Kasper on the top line, and he pots the empty net goal. And you could just see, like, you could even hear it in the call with Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond. Like, boy, did he need that. He did. And it's a thing that, like, Marco Kasper, it's possible he's just like a January and on player, because similar thing happened last year. He started slow and then just got fire in January. But yeah, it was really nice to see him have a good game. It was by far one of the best takeaways of the week.
Yeah, it was a decent game from the team. Another good game for John Gibson. Marco Kasper, one of the players we always talk about on this team of who really needs to step up and take over and show his level of quality and how he can really affect this team. Bounce back game for him, goal and assist. You talked about it, Alex. Like it was happy to see. Like Alex texted me right after the game, check the stats. I'm like, okay, Marco Casper's a little bit back here. We're gonna talk about him a little bit later, but like he's a little back. He's coming back to the way he was in seasons past. Like, yeah, like as Alex said, like I think that empty netter that he got at the end of the game, I think it is good for his confidence. Like seeing one goal go down in like I don't even know the last time he got a goal was, but he's caught fire a little bit. I don't know if he's on double digit points now this season, but he could
He's
be
at 9.
close. Pardon?
He's on 9. He has 4 and
Yeah,
5.
9. So yeah, he's close to double digit points this season. He's coming back to where what he was in like it's good to see out of him. Everybody else played pretty decent. Like Dylan Larkin, for the past couple weeks, again, I've been calling him a power play demon because he has been. He's only been getting goals on power plays. It's good to see him get a 5-on-5 goal, even if you don't want to call it like it was like a fluke goal because it only went past the line before he kicked it. It's a goal. He got one. Alex DeBrincat, I don't know if it's time to call him the best player in this team because we have a lot of good players in this team. But yeah, Alex did say he is Mr. Consistent. He's another one that I would call Mr. Consistent. He's I think he's on 25 or 26 goals this season. Um, he's on fire, like 40 goals is on the horizon. I think he's going to get there by the end of the season. Um, and yeah, everybody else, Lucas Raymond with his 3 assists, like whole like that. I think he's tied for ninth in assists in the league. Like I don't even know what to say about him. Like one of the best creators on this team. Um, honestly, I go over regular players in this team or every player on this team to see how they did. Like the whole team as a whole, as you can see, like you've seen it since December. I think there's something since December, like this coaching staff has really gotten through to this team, and you see it like in the wins, but in the losses as well. Like you'll see they'll get a loss here and there, and they'll come back and they'll show like how good this team is. And Alex said it like earlier in the episode. He said, "Okay, this team like you can really say it's a fluky like top two, top one team in the Atlantic. Like this team really shows how good they are on specific games, and this game included. Like this is a game where I thought they would win comfortably, but you can see that the Sharks gave a couple of good attempts at coming back and seeing what's going on in this game. But I don't know, like this team's good. Like
Yeah.
there's really nothing else I can say. This team is really good.
Yeah, they've kind of found like a level of consistency that they haven't. And the thing with that is like, again, fans of this team, we're all waiting for some kind of collapse because it's just been like foretold constantly. But until you see it, like again, you can't get on the team for losses like the Boston one, especially when they come back and they have a decent win against San Jose. And even more so, this game against Ottawa was like a very come together game. Ottawa jumps out to a 2-0 lead very early, just shit hits the fan for all intents and purposes. Like it's just a bad start. I know Cousins got on the board. I don't remember who the other goal was from. Batherson. Two quick goals just put Detroit down 2-0 early. But not too long went by before Axel Sandin Pellico would score to get Detroit back on the board. Huge goal for him. It's been a while since he's been on the board. Obviously, he's kind of had some trouble staying late in games. Like he gets taken out in the kind of back half of any game that's close. So it's good to see him get on the board, kind of prove his worth on the power play. Patrick Kane's just doing wonders on that second unit. And the guy who's doing wonders on the first unit, James Van Riemsdyk on the power play. It's a Dylan Larkin shot that ends up out in front, and he picks it off the goalie's pads, goes back between his own legs to put it past James Reimer. And it was just one of those goals where you're like, man, what the hell was that? There's not a lot of players in this league who have the balls to do that. Like, even at 36, 37, like, that's a guy who is just, he's here to win. I don't know how much longer he's going to stick around in this league before he calls it a career, and a successful one at that. But man, has JVR ever been a revelation for this team? Like, again, a guy like Patrick Kane is one of the best power play players in the NHL, and JVR has taken a spot from him and been arguably better. Like, he's just been so special up there. He can play on any line, any night. He gives you good minutes. And boy, does he give you highlight reels. That's the second between the leg highlight of this JVR season. Special player. If Detroit gets in the playoffs, I think this is a player that a couple years down the line, when it ends up as like a Sporkle question or something, Red Wings fans are going to look back pretty fondly on this JVR run. And then shit at the fan. Lucas Raymond skating through the neutral zone. Ridley Gregg hits him up very high for no good reason. I forgot to mention there's a Lucas Raymond goal in there. I totally skipped over that. Sorry, Lucas Raymond, before all of this, he nips his 15th of the season. Another beautiful goal. Drags past Jake Sanderson, who, if you ask any Ottawa Senators fan, he's like the greatest thing to ever touch the earth. Suck it. Sanderson got absolutely embarrassed this game. Lucas Raymond toe drags around Sanderson completely before ripping the puck bar down on James Reimer. And it was like, yeah, like Lucas Raymond was all over this game. Like you saw him absolutely cutting up through the neutral zone. Like in the offensive zone, he was constantly finding lanes. This pass came from Marco Kasper, which was really nice to see. He gets an assist here. He looks like he's going to be on that top line for a while, as he should be. He's kind of earned his spot there. James Van Riemsdyk will help in the depth. Like he can drive a line down there. What a goal from Lucas Raymond. And then he gets headshot. So Ridley Gregg takes him down. He gets called for 2 minutes. Detroit doesn't score on the... Oh, they do score on the power play. So that's where the JVR goal came from. I don't remember what happened that well. A little like mental lag. No, but then, Elmer Soderblom decides he's going to get some revenge for Lucas Raymond. And he mauls Ridley Gregg in the neutral zone. Like, he basically does the exact same thing Ridley Gregg did. And then James Van Riemsdyk, as Ridley Gregg's going to the bench, also runs into him. So Ottawa gets a penalty and they score there, and I did not care one bit. I was like, Soderblom, you made the right play 10 times over. That is absolutely what you should be doing there. Your best player gets ran. You nail him. You run that guy. Doesn't matter, clean or dirty, penalty or not. But either way, Ottawa scores to tie the game. In overtime, Tim Stützle, another guy that Ottawa Senators fans will tell you is the greatest thing to ever touch the face of the earth. He gives the laziest back check you've ever seen. Andrew Copp threads the needle to Alex DeBrincat. Jake Sanderson is defending absolute air. DeBrincat walks in. Another beautiful DeBrincat nip. DeBrincat and Copp combined for 2 overtime winners this week. What a duo that is. And what a player Andrew Copp is right now. Like, we keep talking about it, but man, oh man, has Andrew Copp found like a different level. Like, one of the things that's like been Detroit's problem is like their core has been good, but the supplementary pieces have just been like pretty bad. Andrew Copp has been like a perfect supplementary piece. He's just been so good this season, like cleaning up defensively, big moments offensively, always finds the open man. And the right guy to find there is Alex DeBrincat. And the 2 Senators Golden Boys get absolutely pissed on. Red Wings win. And it caps off a great week, a feel-good week. Again, the Boston thing was a lapse. But again, we can look past that. You know, Marco Kasper got going. Andrew Copp continues to prove that December was no fluke. DeBrincat and Raymond take off. Dylan Larkin has a good week as well. He gets his 5-on-5 goal. Solid goaltending from both goalies. I will say Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson have had better weeks, especially offensively, but that's harping and griping. A much better week, and it gives you something good to look forward to. So we're very happy with that. Very happy with the games this week. We're going to take another break, and we're going to talk about Marco Kasper, his coming out party a little bit, not in like a gay way or anything. Like, shout out Heated Rivalry, no. But Marco Kasper is like I don't know, like heating up, but that sounds like Heated Rivalry too. I don't know. Whatever. Marco Kasper playing good. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, there you
know
go.
what I'm talking about. We support Marco Kasper no matter what he does, for the record. I don't know what this tangent is. Whatever. We're going to talk about the DeBrincat as well. Some stuff I want to talk about with his game, and then we're going to talk about some trade targets. If you're watching this, you're probably coming from the one about Jason Robertson. I know that's pending now, so I'd imagine that's where you're here from. All of that and more in segment 2 of the Kicking Tires podcast. Segment 2 of the Kicking Tires podcast. As we mentioned, Marco Kasper, just a really good week, and you can see that the trust that this coaching staff has on him. Like, the second he plays well, you're playing on the top line with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. Like, this is a team that if Marco Kasper gets going, like, there's too many weapons for them not to make the playoffs and not to be a pretty considerable threat in the playoffs. Like, Marco Kasper is a guy who loves throwing the body. He's Detroit's biggest hitter right now. He can score in a variety of ways. He's a decent playmaker. Like, you've seen it this week a lot, but like, he is a solid puck carrier. Like, he's a very good all-around player at his best. It's just about, can he get back to that and can he be productive? If the answer is yes, you're going to see a lot of good moments from Marco Kasper down the stretch, and it's good that the coaching staff leans on him. And that's not the left wing that I want to talk about, although he has played well. DeBrincat, this has been a really underrated part of his game recently. Like, the hands on him recently have looked ridiculous. Like, there are some moments where he'll just like deke his way through 2 guys to keep the puck. And I'm like, since when the hell could you do that? I don't know if he's just spending more time with Patrick Kane, but there are moments this week where he will dance with the puck. And like, it won't lead to much every single time. Like, on the Copp goal, the way that he receives the puck and he goes forehand, backhand to get the pass, like, puck settled. It's stuff like that where like, you don't expect a guy at his age, I believe he's 27, 28, to take another step in his game. But he's weirdly improved so much as a stick handler in his time in Detroit, where you wonder if that's going to help him put an extra like 4 or 5 points on the board. He's improved as a passer with his time in Detroit too. Like, I think that's something that's overlooked. He was not a fantastic passer before. Now he's plenty competent. It's really good to see DeBrincat taking that last step. But we know what you're all here for. We're done talking about, we covered all these guys a little bit. We're going to be talking about some of the names on the trade block. Look, Detroit has some holes in the lineup to fill, right? Like, I love Andrew Copp where he's at. He's a good second-line center, but you'd love him as a third-line center right now. You'd love to get a solidified top 6 center. You'd love a real top line left wing to play beside Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. Like you'd love a real like threat there. And fortunately, there are some options. There's some center options. There's some guys that can be here for years. There are some guys that can be stars. They're franchise cornerstones, guys who alter the timeline of this team, and defensemen, because Rasmus Henderson got traded. Now there's only one left. But yeah, let's start talking, me and you, Shola, here about Artemi Panarin. So New York, basically, like, I don't know why they keep doing these stupid little like whining notes that they keep putting out. This is not me hating on the Rangers organization, but like this is the second year in a row that like they look like they're gonna miss the playoffs and they put out a letter to the fans. We're so sorry. Like, we know you guys expect more of us. It reads like a fucking text from like a toxic boyfriend. I was like, this is the lamest stuff I've ever read in my life. But largely it reads as like, we're trading Artemi Panarin. They basically said, look, we're gearing towards a rebuild, and that might mean trading some players that you have good memories with. And I was like, what kind of fans do you have that you need to coddle them like this? But whatever. Then, like, no more than 10 minutes later, a report comes out that New York's not going to re-sign Panarin and that they'll trade him to whoever wants him. So, again, any media literacy will tell you Panarin was on the trade block the second that letter came out. And Artemi Panarin has some ties to Detroit, right? Like, he's best friends with Patrick Kane. He's best friends with Alex DeBrincat. So that you can have a connection of all three of them. Admittedly, none of them play center, so you can't put them all on the same line. But Panarin's a guy, if he's willing to come to Detroit, like, that's a big name, right? Like, the point totals are monstrous the last couple of years. Like, he's still an incredibly productive player, even though he is 34. So if you do acquire him, he doesn't exactly fit your timeline. He kind of moves your timeline to a little bit more of a immediate one. Like, you kind of have to go all in the next 2 years. I don't know how comfortable Detroit is with that. But with a player like Artemi Panarin, like a guy who can get you like 90 points and like 40 goals pretty much every season, that's not something you take lightly, especially if he's interested in Detroit. So Shola, what do you think of Artemi Panarin as an option for left wing?
To be honest, I think this team is in, I don't wouldn't say dire need of a left wing because they do have Lucas Raymond. He does exist, but he's not on the top line. And I think if you want to pair a guy with a person who has consistently gotten 90 points for the past 4 years, actually, it really could be the past 7 years since 2019. He just got injured in 2021 or 2020 season. So he's really been a consistent 90 points scorer. He's consistent 30 to 50 goal scorer, and you need someone who can play make and can be a consistent goal threat next to Dylan Larkin because the people or the players you've been putting him next to have been subpar over the season. They've been heating up as of recent. That's why you see all the current line changes and player changes. Like, but you do need someone who can like carry that first line with Dylan Larkin and not just put him to die with all these other players. And I think he is a good option. As you said, he would be putting this team into more of a win now or win in the next 2, 3 year kind of situation with his age, him being 34. But I don't even think that's necessarily a bad thing because as we've seen this season, this team is good. Like this team has been overachieving like crazy. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the season. This team could steal a playoff series. Obviously, you want to get them to the playoffs in the first place. But even if they do, like you're seeing how good this team can be, and they're competing with the teams at the top of the pile. So I think adding a piece like him, like Panarin, could just bring that team to the next level and bring yourself a consistent top level first top line left winger.
Yeah, it's a weird conversation because Detroit, like, largely their age doesn't cater to a team that's going to win now. But you look at like an Eastern Conference that's lacking a lot, especially like this season, possibly next season. Like the Florida Panthers are the team to beat in the NHL right now, and they look like they're just in hell. Like they just can't seem to get healthy. They can't seem to even, with Kachuk back, they're struggling to win games. They just lost to San Jose. It's possible that Detroit could have some sneaky runs, even though they're a very deeply, deeply flawed team with a top six that has Panarin, Larkin, and Raymond, and then DeBrincat, Kopp or Casper and then Kane. There's a chance where you can kind of seize the moment. You think about the Montreal Canadiens in the bubble year where they went to the finals as a very young team, deeply flawed, like had a lot of problems. But their goaltending was hot. They were getting good play from their defense. They were kind of getting overperforming from their forwards. It's one of those things where you could see the formula like that for Detroit. Obviously, it's not a key to long-term success. But if the cost to acquire Panarin isn't too expensive, I could see Detroit being very willing to go in on him. Now, obviously, New York is going to want to recoup some serious assets. I think I'd be interested. Again, I would need to hear the reported prices and stuff before I say too much, but he's an interesting figure. I have heard that Detroit's probably not the front runners for him. I hear a lot of Minnesota out there. But Minnesota's obviously kind of running short on assets right now. They only have so much cap space and only so many assets. We'll see. To be determined on them, but I think it makes sense for the Red Wings. A lot of other Red Wings outlets have been like, no, why would you get a guy who's this old? That doesn't cater to the future. You're going to give him so much money. You're going to give him this. At a certain point, you need to start winning games, right? Nothing's promised. It's very possible that you can make the playoffs this year and then fall out the next season just off some things going wrong. Gibson doesn't get as hot, whatever. You can't take anything for granted, and you need to build off the success. Winning leads to more winning every single time. This offseason, if another big name sees, oh my God, they have Panarin, they have DeBrincat, they have Lucas Raymond looks pretty good. I want to play next to, I want to play behind Moritz Seider so my minutes are easier as a defenseman. They'll be more willing to take your team there. Your players will be more willing to take pay cuts if they see winning in the future. All that happens when you start acquiring good players. Yes, it's a gamble. No, it's not the perfect player. We'll talk about another guy who probably fits the mold a lot better, but it would be a lot more expensive. Panarin is still, in my books, the kind of thing that Detroit needs to gamble on. So that's kind of it on Panarin. Next, Robert Thomas is a name that's, while St. Louis hasn't explicitly made him available, they are hearing calls on him from what I've understood from everything that I've seen, read, and heard. They would be open to Robert Thomas trades. It would be expensive because Robert Thomas is a great player. He's having a comparatively down year, but he is a little bit younger. He fits kind of more the Dylan Larkin timeline than anything. He doesn't really fit Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider's age, but he's right, the same age as Dylan Larkin and DeBrincat. He would be pretty much the perfect 1A, 1B center for this team. He's a guy who can fetch you in pretty comfortable 85 to 90 points. He would instantly be your first or second best player. He's a guy who, plays hard as well. He's a very good competitor. He's kind of all the things Steve Yzerman would want. I'm pretty sure his contract is controlled for the next little bit as well, so you don't have to give him a huge pay hike immediately. There's a lot to like about Robert Thomas, but that cost is going to be in the range of multiple firsts. I'm thinking two, one raw NHL ready young player. So you can think of one of Emmett Finney, one of Nate Danielson, one of Marco Kasper, one of Axel Sandin Pellikka, one of the guys in that vein, and then probably a B plus, A minus tier prospect. So right now it might be Carter Bear. That might be MBN. That might be Eddie Yenborg. Depends on how teams look at him. Anton Johansson, I know, has gotten calls. If they're looking for a goalie prospect after they deal Binnington, I'm sure you could do one of Kosa or Augustine. You can get creative there, but I'd imagine it's going to be a hefty cost where at least one of your current roster players is going back as well. It's a trade that I would hear out. I would want to know the exact cost before. I'd also want to double check his contract situation before I get into any of that. But Robert Thomas is a guy that I'm interested in. So Shola, what are you seeing from him, and what do you like about him on this team or don't like about him on this team?
Honestly, I think as we're looking at how Andrew Kopp has been playing over the past month and a half, you see that he has the makings to be a second line center on most NHL teams. But I think for the level of quality of this team, you would prefer him to be a third line center and get a real second line center who can take this team to a higher level. And Robert Thomas is one of those guys. You can see past couple of seasons, 81 points, 86 points, 65 points, 77 points over the past 4 years. He's injured right now, and he's been like as Alex said, like a relatively down year. It's not really a down year since he's been injured, but um, he's on 33 points this season. Like you can see, he contributes a lot. He's a great playmaker. Um, I would assume very good defensively. Like I think there's a lot you need, or not a lot you like out of him. Obviously, he is younger than Panarin, as we talked about before. So he would cost a lot more, and you would be giving up a lot. But I think if you're tailoring towards a rebuild that can come to you winning within the next season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, I think a guy like Robert Thomas is the move because trading a guy like Emma Finney, who I really don't want to see go, but if that's what it takes, trading a guy like Nate Danielson, one of the players in the AHL, one of your youngest prospects, Carter Bear, like if you trade someone like that with a couple of first round picks, second round picks, to get a guy like Robert Thomas or get a guy, other guys we're going to talk about later, I think that's something you really need for this team. Like if this is the type of situation you want to be in, a win now, but like win not win now, but like win in the next couple of seasons with your level of talent that you have in this team, but not wasting their good years of them just being a little bit of a mediocrity. Like I think this guy is what you need. Like a guy like Robert Thomas is what you need. Like there's more positives you take out of it. And I think the only negatives you take is that you're losing a couple of firsts, so you're losing some prospects, and you're losing your NHL ready guy in MFNE, in maybe Axel Sandin-Pellikka if they need defensive prospects, in Nate Danielson or one of your AHL guys. So
Yeah,
you
I
take
think
it as you want.
Detroit is one of the weirdest situations for a contention window because they're trying to operate with two. Like you very much want Dylan Larkin and this Alex DeBrincat window. Like you don't want that to go to waste because these are two guys who are pretty much top 16, top 15 players at their position. Like Dylan Larkin is a top 20 center. DeBrincat is a top 20 wing. Um, and you have the young pieces now. Like Lucas Raymond is young, but he is very much contributing. You could make the case he's still your best player. So it's like if you don't want Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat's best years to go to waste, like you kind of have to hit the gas a little bit because like they're only going to be like 29 for so long. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to be the same players when they're 33, 34, especially Dylan Larkin, who depends on speed. So like if you get a guy like Robert Thomas, you're kind of putting yourself into the mix sooner than you might want to, like sooner than the Raymond window. But you're also trying to get the most out of Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat, who like I think you need to do right by them, and especially for Alex DeBrincat, whose contract's up soon. You need to kind of show these guys that look like you're serious about them, you're treating them like stars. I think they're an option. Now, here's probably the most interesting one on the market because I have no idea what the acquisition cost. Elias Pettersson, the expensive one on the Vancouver Canucks, is one of the highest paid players in the NHL. He's top 5, unless something's changed, unless like certain contracts are kicking in now. But $11.6 million for Elias Pettersson. Huge, huge contract. He would be Detroit's highest paid player by like leaps and bounds. Elias Pettersson, though, when he signed that contract, was one of the best players in the NHL. 39 goals, 63 assists, 102 points in 80 games. The next season, 34 goals, 55 assists for 89 points in 82 games. Elias Pettersson, at his best, is one of the best two-way centers in the NHL. He can score like no one else. He has one of the best shots. Very good defensively, big body. He can be the best player in the NHL on any given night. Elias Pettersson has not been that Elias Pettersson for 2 years now, right? Last season is kind of when things went to shit. 15 goals, 30 assists, 45 points. Way, way down from his well over a point per game totals. This season, 29 points in 41 games. So certainly still not back to form. Now, there is so much we can go into about Elias Pettersson. He was getting borderline bullied by one of his teammates to a point where they had to trade JT Miller away. This year, with all the Quinn Hughes drama, and then now Quinn Hughes gone, now he's kind of like the lone decent player in Vancouver still. There's a lot that you can kind of take into consideration with Elias Pettersson. Vancouver is clear that they want to go into a rebuild. If Elias Pettersson is available, I have no idea what the cost is. I don't like from a management standpoint, you want to trade Elias Pettersson as the 100-point player. But there's a very real possibility he's never that again, and he's a 45, 50, 60-point guy who's one of the highest paid players in the NHL for years to come. To the team that takes on Elias Pettersson, and I do believe Detroit could largely help. I don't know if they can return him to form, but I think you will see him be a little bit better. They have a better culture here than they do in Vancouver. The media is a lot less swarming than they are over there. But that $11.6 million basically says, like, look, I'm committed to this guy through and through. He is going to basically come to this team and be the best player. He's 27 years old, sorry. So he works in both windows. If he is what he's supposed to be, he will be part of the Dylan Larkin window, and he will be part of the Lucas Raymond window. That's appealing, but that's only if you believe you can get him back to 102-point form, or at very least 90-point form with very good defense. The question is, can that happen? Because that player looks long gone. The effort looks checked out. The play is not the same, and that contract is going to be there regardless. Sholo, what do you think about Elias Pettersson, and how do you view this situation?
I look at it could be situation where he is right now with the Canucks, and you're seeing him decline so early into his career. That could be a thing. Now, do I support the idea of you getting him? If he is, and this is a very big if you believe that he can turn into, as Alex said, a consistent 80 to 100-point scorer per year with decent to good to great defense, then you should go and get him because he is 27. You got a lot of good years, again, if you believe in him, left in the tank for him. And he could be that guy who again fits in the Lucas Raymond, Alex DeBrincat, Dylan Larkin window and win now in the next couple of years or win this season. But there is a lot of what ifs, and he is very expensive. So you would be giving up. I don't even know what you'd give up. Maybe a first, maybe a second, probably a prospect for a team who's looking to rebuild. They'll probably want a young prospect, maybe a first here and there. I don't know what you need to give up, but I support him more than I do a Robert Thomas? No, I would say if you want to get anybody, get him over Elias Pettersson. But if this coaching staff and front office believes that he can turn back into what he was in the past, then it's like then go ahead and go get him. But I don't really know. If out of all the trade targets we talked about, I think he's the one I'm most iffy about because of his records in the past couple of years and his decline. But again, it could be situational. It could be because he's with the Canucks and the Canucks is starting to decline and people want out and he's not blending well. It could be that, but I don't know. Like I think there's more negatives with this prospect with Elias Pettersson than there is positives compared to Robert Thomas, but he would add some value to this team if he turns back into that player that we saw a couple years ago.
Yeah, and it's so hard to say, like, because there's a very real chance Vancouver's like, look, like we're in a rebuild. We cannot have a $12 million contract sandbagging us. Like, we'll trade him away to any team that will take the full contract, and you can get him for like a second round pick and Andre Becker, like a decent prospect, whatever. If that's the case, I think that's a gamble you're willing to take. If they're looking at this for like first round picks, whatever, you need to be very sure that you can fix him. Because again, if you can fix Elias Pettersson, not only is he like help your window, he is the best player on this team every single night. Like Elias Pettersson at his best is possibly one of the best duos with Lucas Raymond I could think of. Like there's very little in the way that would stop. Like 2 years ago, if you were having this conversation, I'd say you sell a farm to get Pettersson here. Like Noah fans and or buts, like you need Elias Pettersson. I just don't know what the acquisition cost looks like. So as more comes out, I'll try to talk about that. Vancouver can get talked down. Like we saw with Kiefer Sherwood recently. They wanted a first round pick. We want a first round pick. We want a first round pick. They gave up Kiefer Sherwood for 2 seconds and a decent prospect. The Vancouver's, they'll show their hands a little bit. They very clearly want to enter a rebuild, so we'll keep you updated on that. You'll see it updated in my writing if we find any bigger news, but it's something to keep track of. So let's talk about the last two guys we have. Dougie Hamilton. This is one that I think the numbers look down this year. The offensive numbers look down, but the defensive numbers are much improved. So that's a fun mix. Dougie Hamilton is a huge right shot defenseman. If you want to shelter Axel Sandin Pellikka, like you clearly do, like you're playing Axel Sandin Pellikka on the second pair with Ben Sherratt, and Ben Sherratt's having a good year, but even he's struggling to kind of buoy Pellikka's rookie mistakes. If you want to let Pellikka do his thing on the third pair, and you have just a player who's, again, found his defensive game a lot in Dougie Hamilton, who's shown that he can take on really tough minutes, and he is taking on really tough minutes, I think this is a trade that you might be really interested in it. This is another guy who's going to go for pretty cheap. Like, I don't think he's fetching a first. I think a second round pick and decent prospect, that's kind of the range you're looking at here. Look, New Jersey has a logjam on the right side. They don't want a $9 million contract. Detroit has the cap space in the next couple of years to take on a guy like this. And, hopefully he helps. He wouldn't be like the game breaking forward. And he is overpaid for what he is. But with the amount of cap flexibility Detroit has, they can kind of take advantage of something like this. So it's an interesting deal. He is injury prone, which is my thing. Like, when you have a guy like Mo Sider, like you like having him for all 82 games. You don't really want a guy who might play 60. But Dougie Hamilton can be a big help across the board. He's a help defensively. He's a help offensively. If the cost is away from a first round pick or like first round pick adjacent, like you're not giving up Marco Kasper, you're not giving up Nate Danielson, Emmett Finney. If New Jersey is just like, hey, we can't deal with this contract right now, we need somebody to take it. Detroit's one of the very few teams that can take it without any retention. I think this was a trade that Detroit would humor. It's like every trade that we mentioned. It depends on the return here. But I think Detroit should humor this because, again, it's such a unique situation where New Jersey's cap strapped and they don't need another right defenseman. Detroit does need another right defenseman. And they have cap space. Detroit can give up some B tier assets. You maybe give up, if they're interested in like Elmer Soderblom or they're interested in like Rasmussen or, Appleton, whatever. You find a mix. Maybe like Appleton, probably like a decent prospect and a mid round pick, something like that. Like just to get him off the books. I think Detroit would be happy to do that. So Shola, what do you like about Dougie Hamilton? What would you do and what wouldn't you do to get him in Detroit?
Looking at the stats and the way I'm looking at it, he is a very, very tall defenseman. I think he'd be by far the tallest defenseman on this team. 230 pounds. He's strong. The problem, not really a problem. He is 32, so I guess you can see probably a little bit of a decline, especially in his offensive numbers. But as Alex said, if he has improved in his defensive game, and you want to bring Axel Sandin Pellikka's minutes down because he has had his minutes chopped down a little bit because he hasn't been in late game situations as of late. Um, and you want a guy who can be another Mr. Consistent, like a Ben Sherratt or a Simon Edwardson, honestly, like for this team, and you don't have to give up a lot, I think it's a move you should do because this defense is like we talked about players in the report cards and how we think they've done compared to the entire league. And we have some very decent to very, very good defensemen, and then we have some not so good to very mediocre defensemen on this team. So I think we can get another if we can get another guy like Dougie Hamilton, who is another like a Mr. Consistent who can play solid 20 minutes per game, defensive minutes. At his age for the next couple of seasons, again, it puts you in a little bit more of a win now, win couple. Like we keep saying it for all these guys because of their age and how they are, and how many seasons, like how experienced they are. It would bring a little bit more. Yeah, as I was saying, it would bring a little bit more experience, and it would put you in a little bit of a bigger win now or get better now situation. If that's something that the coaching staff and the front office want to do, and you don't have to give up a lot, I say do it. I think there's more positives than there is for except for like instead of a guy like Elias Pettersson. So if that's something that the team wants to do and it helps, which I do think it does, and it will, I say do it.
Yeah, and we're going off the assumption that he is going to come fairly cheap because, like, again, it's a huge contract. Detroit's in such a luxury position where they're competitive and they have so much money. Like they can legitimately, like, even this trade deadline, if they don't make a big trade, I'd be perfectly happy with them retaining salary on like other people's trades to get some extra picks. Like there's so much money here and it's a waste if you don't use it. Dougie Hamilton, is he the best use of that money? No, we're not going to sit here and say he's the perfect player. But again, you need a right shot defenseman. There's some upside there. Like again, he had 70 points just a couple years back. Like there is some upside there. It's a gamble worth taking for me. Like 32, it's on the older side, but like he's only like 2, 3 years older than Dylan Larkin. Like you're gonna get good years out of him. Again, injury prone, and that contract only lasts 2 years. So again, you're stuck with him for 2.5 years. If it goes well, great. If you can get Dougie Hamilton back to like prime Dougie Hamilton, you're laughing. Even if he's like injured off the ice a lot, like my problem with Dougie Hamilton is not when he plays. Like I think he's always going to give you either he's going to be very good defensively or very good or like pretty good defensively. Like admittedly, I've talked to New Jersey Devils fan. They said his defense has improved. But like I've never really watched him like that to be able to tell you he's like a stellar defensive player. But like again, I'm not worried about Dougie Hamilton if he plays, but if he's just injured a lot for the next 2 seasons, you can just put that contract on out the IR. You don't have to worry about it. So I think it's a gamble worth taking if he comes cheap. If he comes expensive, I'm not putting money on that for the life of me. And then finally, maybe the biggest name on the market right now, Jason Robertson just continues to be in this absolute like mess with Dallas right now. Last season, they were talking about like, look, if we can't get Robertson extended, we're gonna have to trade him. Then Jim Nill like retracted the comments. Now Jason Robertson's having like a nuclear season again, and they don't know if they're going to be able to keep him at the end of this year because he wants a bunch of money. They don't have any cap space. They only have 16 million in cap space, and he wants like north of 12 million. Detroit has a bunch of cap space. They were already rumored to be in on him this summer. A whole bunch of stuff's going on. This is a trade that probably won't happen until the summer because I don't see Dallas, who is looking to contend, trading away a piece like Jason Robertson during the season, even if they think they can get a good return for him. Like you were much better off having Jason Robertson. He's one of the best goal scorers in the NHL this year. He's even scoring better than Cat. He plays left wing. He's not a midget, which is nice. Like I love DeBrincat, but you can't have a 5'8" DeBrincat, a 5'10" Patrick Kane, a 5'11" Lucas Raymond, and like a 6 tall Dylan Larkin all in your top six. Like you do need some size. Robertson's a big boy, 6'3", wicked shot. He's not a great skater, but you can hide that a little bit. Playing with Dylan Larkin, who's a fantastic skater. You've seen, Mikko Rantanen. This is not a perfect example. Mikko Rantanen, the way that he played off Nathan McKinnon, where he wasn't as fast, but he was so smart with the game and he can act as a good trailer who can distribute well and fire well. That's something that I could see being a reasonable outcome. And he's also young. Like he kind of fits the Moritz Seider timeline as well as he fits the Dylan Larkin timeline. Like you're going to see him be one of the best Red Wings for years. He's proven it. Like he has the Elias Pettersson peak without the Elias Pettersson dips. If you can get Jason Robertson, it's going to cost you a farm and a half. Like the return we were talking about for Robert Thomas, you're giving up 3 firsts. You're giving up one or both of Nate Danielson and Marco Kasper. You're giving up, Anton Johansson, who's pretty much your only remaining right shot defensive prospect. You're giving up, probably another decent roster player. Like I could see them being like, look, we'll take Andrew Kopp at like 75% retained. Like you're basically paying Andrew Kopp to not be on your team. A whole slew of things. Like I think Dallas wants to win now, which is a big thing with Detroit. Like I don't think they have win now players that they can trade. Like you're not trading DeBrincat, you're not trading Larkin, you're not trading Raymond, you're not trading, Moritz Seider, you're not trading Simon Edvinsson. So like who do you give up to Dallas who has a good goaltender, who has, good forwards? They do struggle on the left wing. That's why when I was kind of looking into this, again, if you see my piece about this, which is probably how you're here, I was talking about Emmett Finney being a piece in that trade, which I could see, him and Marco Kasper both play the left side. Whatever. Jason Robertson, great player. It would cost a whole hell of a lot, but he's one of those guys where I think he becomes your best player on the franchise. And I think it's worth giving up some pretty serious prospects to do it.
Honestly, like, I agree with everything you're saying. If Dallas is a team who doesn't have the money to bring him back or doesn't bring him back by the end of the season, and Detroit has enough money, which they do, to bring him in by the end of the season, I know we're talking trades, but by the end of the season, in the summer, if they have enough money to bring him in, or if he's still in the contract, um, trade for him, like one of the best goal scorers in this league, consistent 80 point per game scorer over the past 4 years. Like, he'll help out so much. As you said, he'd probably become the best player on the team by not by a mile, but by a mile. Like, he's really good. Like, this Alex really said everything you need about him. Like, he would definitely give up a lot. If he were to do it right now, he would give up a lot. I don't know why they would do it because the Stars are really good, and I don't know why they would trade that big of a piece right now. But if they do, and he's on the market, I would not be mad if I saw this front office be aggressive and go get this guy because pair him with Dylan Larkin, pair him on any single line, he'll take over. Like, he's there's nothing really else I could say about him other than he would do really well with this team. And he's young. He's only 26. Like, the rest of the guys you're talking about, they're in the 28, 29, 30, 34 range. He's young. Like, he works with everybody on this team. Keep him here for a long time. You have the money to do it. If that's in the cards for this team, they should definitely go ahead and go do it. So bring him in, um, if you can, if he's available, either now in the summer, whether Dallas wants to keep him or not. If they don't, bring him in. I think it's a good option.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys where you can see him aging pretty well, right? Like there's no speed in Jason Robertson's game. Like you think about players that age well, it's the hockey sense, it's the good shot. You know, you think about Ovechkin, you think about Crosby, like guys who really depend on their smarts to be effective. Even Patrick Kane, guys who don't skate fast but think the game fast. That's how you stick around for a long time, and I could see Jason Robertson being like that. We're on a longer episode now because we're a little bit delayed, so we're gonna take one final break, give our week MVPs, predictions, wrap up, and we'll send you guys on with your day. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Kicking Tires podcast. We'll be back with segment 3 in just 1 second. All right, we're gonna wrap up here. Segment 3, Kicking Tires podcast. Let's get on out of here. So for the week MVP and best moment, I'll go first. We'll start with, I guess we'll do week MVP first, but I got to give it to Marco Kasper. I know, like, I'd never give it to, like, the actually good players. Like, Lucas Raymond had a monster week, and I'm just like, Marco. No, but, like, I think just, like, the energy that you got from Kasper this week, like, there's something that you could see with the team that they were kind of rallying behind Kasper getting his foot, what do you call it, getting his feet wet. I don't even know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Getting his footing was where I was going with that. Um, It's something that you have kind of been preying on since the start of the year. Everybody, the media's talked about it. The team's talked about it. McClellan's talked about it. It's good to see him finally get going, and you hope that this is not you hope that he starts deserving the week MVPs, because at a certain point, I am going to have to start giving them to Lucas Raymond, because I've given them to like Bergie and Kopp and JVR. I'm going to have to start giving it to real players at some point this season. So, let's get Marco Kasper in for one before we really start harping on him. So, Shola, who's your week MVP?
Um, Alex already said it. I like to get parity. And I usually always like to give it to the best player of the week. I really pretty much do it every week. So Lucas Raymond is going to be my week MVP. 5 points, 4 games, really 5 points in 3 games because they got shut out in Boston.
Yeah.
3 assists against the Sharks. Like, he's really good. Like, he's Lucas Raymond. Like, he could be argued for one of the best players, if not the best player on this team. There's nothing bad I can say about him. One of my favorite players. Might be biased that I couldn't give it to anybody else. Another sneaky shout out, I'll give it to Andrew Kopp.
Big
Because
week.
he's still been on fire. He's averaging a point per game this week. Or last week, sorry. Like, he's been on fire as well. JVR has been on fire, but Lucas Raymond's been his best player this week, so I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I agree. And for the best moment, that Fedorov retirement night, that was handled so well. You get him in on the convertible, which is just so ridiculous and over the top. His speech was fantastic with Steve Eiserman. There's a lot to like about Fedorov's retirement. Trevor Thompson, friend of the podcast, carrier of the podcast. Uh, great broadcast from him as always. It was a great night. It was a great celebration. It was good that Detroit could get the win, but even so, like you don't always remember, certain games during the regular season. But for a guy like that to get his number retired, that's something that goes down in history. So Shola, what do you got as your best moment?
Um, I'm gonna give two. So the first one, that JVR goal, I didn't see it in real time. When Alex saw it in real time, he texted me. He was like, "You better go check out that JVR goal." I was like, "Oh my goodness, that was silky. One of the best goals I've seen so far. His second through the legs, whatever he wants to do this season. He's on fire with his goal scoring, and I'd love to see it out of him, even with his age. He's on fire. And the second one will be both the game winners. I couldn't give it to either one. Both the game winners this week were fire. The atmosphere at home when it happened, especially on the Fedorov retirement night, just seeing that, it was nice to get a win there, and getting it in against Ottawa as well was nice. So seeing those two, it was good for the week. I'll give
All
it
right,
that.
and let's get out of here. So predictions for next week. They play Toronto tomorrow. Please beat the fucking Leafs. Like again, we're Toronto kids. I think that actually makes me have to put the podcast at explicit for this week, but whatever. Just beat the Leafs, please. Like we have too many Leafs fan friends. I know we've already beat them 3 times this season, but if you know Leafs fans, they don't care. They get tunnel visioned with one win. Beat the Leafs, sweep the season series, which would just do wonders for me as a Red Wings fan. I wouldn't have to defend myself anymore. Please win against Toronto. I think it's time they lose against Toronto because Toronto's been red hot and I'm sorry, no team in this NHL should be getting swept in the season series by any team. Like I don't expect it to happen, but boy, do I want it. Minnesota's missing some bodies here. I believe Matthew Boldy's still going to be down by the time we play them, and it's possible Jonas Brodin is as well. I would need to check that. Minnesota's missing some of their best players, but they're still one of the best teams in the NHL. That's one that I think Minnesota takes. I think Detroit's at the end of their rope. There's only so many games we can win. Minnesota's a fantastic team. I can see that one going to overtime, though. I think that'll be a good duel, but I think Minnesota has the star power. I think Kaprizov's due for just a ridiculous game. And finally, we go into Winnipeg, who they're turning it around, but boy, does that team still have serious flaws. And I think if we do lose against Minnesota and we do lose against Toronto, I think they will bounce back against Winnipeg. Just because this is going to be a back-to-back in the middle of the week. If we lose to Toronto, and then the second night we lose to Minnesota, I think Winnipeg needs to be a win. So, Shola, what are you guessing?
I show a lot of optimism with this team. I like to give them very, very high expectations, and I'm going to do that again. I was looking at the schedule a couple of days ago and seeing, okay, what could this team really do next week? And I said win, win, win. So I'm going to go 3-0 for the week. And if they don't go 3-0 for the week, I'm going to say they go 2-0-1. So they're
Okay,
going to, I think they'll win in Toronto. They have to win in Toronto.
please win in Toronto.
Please win. Or if it's not in Toronto, they'll win against Toronto. They're just going to win.
I'm pretty sure we
Um,
are back in Toronto. I think we played 2 at home against them already.
there you
So yeah,
go.
I'm
So
pretty
if
sure
it's in
we're all
Toronto, they should
here.
win. Please do win. Minnesota, I think that's one where it could go into overtime. If we lose in overtime, I'll be happy. If we win in overtime or in regular time, like I'll be even happier. And then Winnipeg, they're again, Alex, they're trying to find their footing, but they have been struggling. We beat them earlier in the season. We can beat them again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give them 3-0, if not 2-0-1, and I'll be happy.
All right. So that's been our show. Thank you guys for coming by again. Huge last episode. Remember to check us out on actual streaming platforms. I have some environmental science work to do. I have to also get to the gym tonight. Busy schedule, but we are, happy to be with you, even if it is a day late. So thank you guys for always showing up, showing a lot of support. call someone, tell them you love them today, and we'll see you guys again next week. So thank you guys for tuning in as always.